Hello everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Since making the two videos on the essential mods for the Husqvarna 701, I've been absolutely inundated with an inquiry about how I fitted the Oxford heated grips to the bike, because it's not as straightforward as it typically is for other bikes. So this video is all about how I fitted them and how you can fit them too if you want to. Right, the heated grips on the Husqvarna. The grips on the Husqvarna are moulded onto a tube each side. On the clutch side it's moulded onto a white plastic tube, and on the throttle side it's moulded onto the throttle tube, which is also white. Now typically when you change the grips to heated grips on a bike, you go to the bike, you slice along, you know, with a sharp knife, and you peel off the grip, and off it comes, and chuck it in the bin and start sorting out your heated grip. With the Husqvarna, the clutch side is actually a completely separate piece that bolts on, as you can see here. So for example, you know, if this was the bar that you were taking it off of, you basically just unscrew that, slip it off, and then you can start putting your Oxford grip on the clutch side, and that's easy. On the other side, of course, you've got the throttle body now, and you need to preserve that. You need to look after the throttle body. Now when I started doing it on the GasGas, and the GasGas and the Husqvarna are the same thing, I sliced it down, because I always start on the throttle side whenever I'm fitting heated grips, because that's the most difficult. So get the difficult one out the way. I sliced it down, and for whatever reason it just wouldn't come off, and I discovered that the throttle tube, the white throttle tube, had the grip moulded onto it. There was simply no way of removing it easily. So what I had to do was basically slice down great sort of peels, you know, like almost like a potato peel, slicing off this grip until I could start seeing the white throttle tube the white throttle tube through the black. And then when I got more and more of it off, I then scraped down, you know, like in this sort of manner, in order to remove the remaining bits of black, so that I was left with the white, clean throttle tube, onto which I wanted to put my heated grip. Now, I'll show you this diagram I've done. So once it was clean, so I've got a clean white throttle tube, there's also this sort of hand grip stop moulded onto the white throttle tube, and I wanted the Oxford grip to go as close as possible to the switch block, you know, where the starter switch and emergency switch and all that is. In order to do that, I needed to remove that. I mean, there was probably, say, 7 or 8 millimeters of white throttle tube clear here that didn't need to be there. So I put some gaffer tape on the switch block to protect it, and then I sawed with a hacksaw this thing off, and then I filed it with a metal file to remove it, and then I ended up with a clean throttle tube. So then I offered up the heated grip, and it didn't fit, which is typical. I mean, that is quite normal for it not to fit, because the throttle tube is bigger than the internal diameter of the grip. So got out my trusty sandpaper and and got it to the right size until it was going on well, and you know, you're sort of twisting it onto this thing to make sure it fits, because you want it to be snug. You're going to glue it anyway, but you want it to be snug. So the Oxford grips that I used were the sports ones. Now I'm sure there'll be people with opinions as to why I shouldn't have used the sports ones, but those are the ones I used because they were a modest price. They're about 60 quid from the sports bike shop, and they do the job, and they've got plenty of grip for what I want. I know that some people might argue that the Husqvarna grip has been designed by a Dakar racer to give you grip at 180 miles an hour over a sand dune, but I'm not going to be doing that. I don't like sand dunes. So I've got the sports ones, and of course they've got this bit at the end that if you need to cut it off, if it's too long, you can do so, okay, without worrying about the heating element inside. Now, Oxford do several versions of their grip, but they all work in exactly the same way. And the one I bought has got this type of connector on. Now, you can buy a more expensive one with this type of waterproof connector on. This isn't one of theirs. This is just some connectors I've bought to use on various projects. But they're very similar to this. But they're another 20 quid, you know, and I'm thinking, well, for 3 or 4 waterproof connectors, 20 quid seems a bit rich to me. So what I do is I use the cheaper ones, and I get some heat shrink. I've got some fairly chunky heat shrink that I put over the whole connection, and then I use my trusty little blowtorch to heat grip it in, and it works fine. Because I mean, and if you're going to be undoing them, I was going to say you're not going to be undoing them, and I mean, generally speaking, you're not going to be undoing them again. But if you are going to undo them, just cut the heat shrink off, you know, and put some more on if you need to. So that is how you do it. It's a bit of a faff, you know, slicing it off and everything. And when I did the GasGas ones, of course, I thought, after doing the throttle side, I thought, oh jeepers, you know, I've got a right load of old faff to do the clutch side. But of course, I then discovered this little bolt, and of course, all I needed to do was slip it off, and it worked really well. So what I'll do now is I'll just show you on the bike how the throttle side fitted, because it's the throttle side that you need to worry about in terms of work. So this is the throttle side with the grip on. This is the Oxford grip. Plenty of room at the end. You can see I sliced off that extra little bit that you can do perfectly happily without worrying about the heating element. And you'll also see that the gap between the throttle and the switch block is modest. You know, we're talking maybe 2 millimeters, but I mean, it all works fine. You know, there's plenty of room. It's loose. It operates perfectly fine. I put them on with the wire going underneath. I just prefer it. It keeps it neat. Some people have it at the top and it sort of flaps around like a big flappy thing, and I don't like that. I think it looks much neater under there. And of course, you've got to make sure when you put it on that the back of it is not going to foul the front brake, which of course this one doesn't. And then in terms of the controller, I put this here onto the bracket which keeps the master cylinder sorted out. And of course, with the Oxford grips, they have this thing called intelligent heat controller, and you basically put the grips on and they start warming up. And then when you switch the bike off, because these are wired directly to the battery, I know that there is there's a connection in the headlight housing where you can connect it up, but I only discovered that after I'd fitted them. So I fitted them direct to the battery, and what happens is you put them on, you know, they get warm and everything's fine, and then when you switch the bike off, if you forget to switch them off, which obviously you can by doing that, if you forget to switch them off, then what will happen is that this little green light here will start flashing after a few minutes, because the controller has recognized that there's no power coming to it from the alternator, and therefore you don't want to run your battery down, and they will switch themselves off. And I have never had a problem with any of this system. I mean, I've fitted, I don't know, probably 20 pairs of heated grips from Oxford. I've never had a problem with any of them, and once they introduced this intelligent heat controller, I've never had one that didn't switch itself off. So it works really well. And then on the other side, on the clutch side, of course, there it is. The wire's going underneath, zip tied neatly out the way, you know, just underneath the block. I've made sure it doesn't foul the clutch, and it all works fine. All works absolutely fine. So that's it. That's how I fitted the Oxford grips. The only faff really is the fact that you've got to scrape off this grip from the throttle side. In every other respect, it's a very easy installation. And once you've, I mean, the thing is with heated grips, I mean, the first set I fitted, which was probably 20 years ago, you know, I was terrified. You know, I was thinking, oh God, what if I do it wrong? What if I break something? What if I, you know, there's as is always the case, there's a million what ifs. But if you've got a modicum of mechanical nous, then they're going to be a piece of cake. You know, just do it slowly. Doesn't matter how long it takes you. And once you've done one set and you realise how it all fits together and works and everything, then you know you can do the next set easily. So that's it. I hope that was useful. Please comment if you know. Let me know how you get on with your Oxford grips. How much hassle did you do it in a different way? You know, maybe the way I'm doing it is the faffy way, and maybe there's an easier way of doing it. But if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. It's really helpful because of old Al and his algorithm. And please like and subscribe if you want to listen to me talk some more. In the meantime, stay safe, ride safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.